Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers get it done again on the 2024 high school recruiting trail, landing four-star athlete from the state of Georgia, Jalewis Solomon. This is a kid that has played on both sides of the football, has excelled on both sides of the football, and a really nice get for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers where it was a little bit surprising. A lot of the intel, a lot of the stuff you read sounded like Jalewis Solomon was on his way to South Carolina. And this is not the first time we've seen Hugh Freeze come in late to a recruitment and win one out, right? You saw him flip Perry Thompson, the five-star wide receiver from Alabama to Auburn. You saw him flip five-star linebacker to Marcus Riddick from Georgia to Auburn. And you might see it again later tonight with KJ Bolden. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Before we do again, just want to say thank you to you guys. It's truly been a blast talking the recruiting trail, breaking down these commitments. The Auburn fans, you guys have been absolutely awesome. All the War Eagles in the comment section means a lot to the boys. So if you do enjoy the updates, you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate y'all rocking with the boys like you guys have. And let's get into Jalewis Solomon. But I first want to have the conversation about where the Auburn Tigers are going and what we're seeing over the last couple weeks, right? This has been something we've talked about a lot, but what Bryan Harsin is doing and why you were kind of scratching your head at even the hiring of Bryan Harsin was he's not really used to recruiting not only this geographical area coming over from Boise State, but also the caliber of player, right? How you recruit at Boise State versus how you recruit at Auburn is just a little bit different. And we haven't seen Auburn land a five-star since Owen Popo a couple years ago. That kind of tells you how Bryan Harsin was recruiting at Auburn. And they go out and get Hugh Freeze, not only because Hugh Freeze is one of the best offensive-minded head coaches that we see in the country, but he's also an elite recruiter. And that's the kind of thing that Auburn, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, having a good offense and having a good scheme matters, but you need to be able to get it done on the recruiting trail. And you're seeing Hugh Freeze, without even coaching a snap at Auburn, get it going and start selling these kids, these top kids from SEC territory, to come on over to the Auburn Tigers and play their football. Now, I want to focus on Jalewis Solomon, and I don't mean to overshadow this commitment because he is a very exciting player. We'll dive into the film, but I do want to talk about his younger brother, who happens to be a five-star linebacker from the state of Georgia as well, and Zayden Walker, who, hey, you know Auburn's going to be in that recruitment 12 months from now. So keep an eye on that. Just kind of wanted to shout that one out because that's a really good tie in terms of, and that's something we talk about, right? Hugh Freeze, I think, recognizes that this isn't just a one-year thing. You need to build the talent up between a couple different ways, transfer portal, high school recruiting class, and Hugh Freeze is certainly doing that. So getting back to Jalewis Solomon, and what I love about Jalewis Solomon, and after checking out the film, is if you guys have been listening to me and what I kind of look for in cornerbacks coming from those high school ranks, it's kind of three things. One, do you have the length? Jalewis Solomon at 6 foot 185 certainly has that. The second, do you have the long speed? How athletic are you? Right? When you're trying to guard five-star wide receivers at the college football level, there needs to be some sort of baseline athleticism. Jalewis Solomon certainly shows that on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to take a look at his film. You're going to see the special movement skills that Jalewis Solomon brings to the table. And lastly, ball skills. And as a wide receiver, you see Jalewis Solomon play that cornerback position like a wide receiver. Not only is he an elite athlete in terms of mirroring wide receivers, but when that football's in the air, Jalewis Solomon often comes down with it even as a cornerback. Now, getting into the film, this is where it gets fun. You see right off the bat the caliber of athlete Jalewis Solomon is with the ball in his hands, shows the movement skills, shows the long speed. Again, those are the kind of things that you're looking for at a cornerback, right? Why does the NFL value so much of the testing numbers with cornerbacks? Because there needs to be some sort of baseline athleticism. Jalewis Solomon certainly has that. But what you see of the film as a cornerback, that's where I think it gets fun for the Auburn Tigers and why he's going to be playing cornerback when he could probably be a damn good wide receiver at the next level as well. You're going to see the ball skills first, right? Coming off as defender, when that football's in the air, Jalewis Solomon attacks it like a wide receiver, and that's rare for these top cornerbacks coming out of high school, making a play on the football, very comfortable with that football in the air. And another thing that you can't really just teach is his instincts, right? You see a little press there, but when that ball is tipped in the air, and you'll see this throughout the film, whenever that football is in the air, it always seems like Jalewis Solomon is around that football. And when it's time to take it to the house, he certainly can do that too. And one more thing, and you're going to see right here, is the physicality that he brings. Increasingly at the college football level, you're seeing these cornerbacks and their physicality and their ability to tackle being tested by opposing offenses. You see it in screen passes, you see it in end arounds, you see it in runs to the perimeter. Jalewis Solomon's a guy that has no problem coming up and being supportive in the run game as well. Again, you talk about the physicality, you talk about being around the football. Jalewis Solomon consistently there, being physical, being a good tackler. You're going to see this again coming off his man, making a play and kind of firing downhill, being physical. Kind of checks all the boxes that you want, right? Coming up, taking on a block, stacking it, and then going and making a play on the wide receiver. This is a really good get that I might add might be a even better get than we think according to his rankings, because he hasn't really picked a side of the football to play. You see him playing at the wide receiver spot. You see him at the cornerback spot. If you were to focus on just one position, you might even see a little bit more of a bump in his ranking. Now, getting to this Auburn class in 2024, I remember we've talked a lot of Auburn football over the last couple of weeks because of how hot they've been on the trail. A couple of weeks ago, the Auburn Tigers were outside of the top 40 in the national rankings. You fast forward a couple of weeks, getting Perry Thompson, getting DeMarcus Riddick, they're all the way up to a top 20 class without Jalewis Solomon being even factored in. And you got to be really excited about what this 2024 class resembles, right? You have your QB1 and Walker White, who's 6'3", 215, can absolutely rip it. He's surrounded by Perry Thompson, 5-star wide receiver, a couple of guys that I really like below here, right? Bryce Kane coming from Mobile, Alabama, an absolute burner. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Auburn just doing what they normally do. And Auburn's been very successful recruiting on the defensive side of the ball. They're continuing that too. And looking at that secondary group, Jalen Crawford already locked in, Amon Lane already locked in, Jaden Lewis already locked in, and we got to talk about KJ Bolden, who's committing tonight. And just a little primer for KJ Bolden. It sounds like there's a lot of noise around the Auburn Tigers, who also came in late for KJ Bolden, right? Between Georgia, Auburn, and Florida State. I think Ohio State probably on the outside looking in as of now. We've seen Hugh Freeze do it again, and why Auburn fans, I think, should be optimistic about this. KJ Bolden was on campus last week, and after that visit with Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers for Big Cat Weekend, hasn't taken any more visits. From what I read, wasn't even taking phone calls. So Hugh Freeze had the last word with KJ Bolden. KJ Bolden was on campus for when Perry Thompson flips his commitment from Alabama to Auburn. If you're an Auburn fan, I think you have a lot of reason to be really excited about KJ Bolden potentially being in this 2024 class as well. We'll be back tonight breaking down the KJ Bolden commitment as well. So again, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate y'all rocking with the boys like you guys have, and we'll talk to y'all later.